Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking all about hair porosity. What hair porosity is, how you can find your hair's porosity, and what helpful information knowing your hair's porosity gives you as far as styling and products. Hair porosity can be a little bit harder to figure out than other things like curl type or hair density. However, it also might be actually the most important one. Knowing your hair's porosity is very helpful for finding good products for your hair, maybe even more so than curl type. Because porosity deals with the transfer of water in and out of the hair, this more closely relates to products working on your hair than how tight your curls are. Of course, curl type is also important, so you want to use them in conjunction to find the best products for your hair. Each individual hair strand that is on your head has cuticles, and those cuticles can be more open or more closed. I'm going to insert a little picture up here that shows what these can look like, just as a visual representation. And if your cuticles are more open, it's a lot easier for the water to go in, but it's also a lot easier for the water to leave. And the more closed it is, the harder it is for water to enter the hair. It's also a lot harder for water to leave the hair. So hair porosity is basically the measure of how fast water can get into your hair. It's also related to how fast water leaves your hair, but more importantly, it's how fast water gets into your hair. So the higher porosity hair you have, the more open those cuticles are, and the lower porosity hair you have, the more closed those cuticles are. So for low porosity hair, they have the most closed cuticles, meaning this is the hardest hair to moisturize. It often feels very dry and brittle-like because it's hard to get water and product into that hair. The advantage of this though is that most times in low porosity hair, once you get that water and moisture to go into the hair, it's going to stay a lot longer. And oftentimes with low porosity hair, you're going to want to use less products on your hair when you're styling. You might want to use just one product and really get that product to go into your hair instead of using multiple, because they tend to build up on the hair instead of being absorbed by the hair. Whereas if you have high porosity hair, your cuticles are much more open, meaning that your hair is very easy to moisturize. Water and product are absorbed by your hair very easily. But on the flip side, the water and product also leaves your hair very easily. My hair is fairly high porosity, so when I wash it that day and the next day, it feels very moisturized. I do not have a hard time getting moisture into my hair. However, as the wash day goes on, that moisture starts to leave my hair fairly quickly because my cuticles are still open. And so by day 4 or 5, when I'm about to wash again, my hair feels very dry. It needs another layer of that moisture when I wash it. And with high porosity hair, oftentimes you want to use multiple products when you're styling, because your hair absorbs the product easily, so it can take more products, and it also helps to seal in that moisture to hopefully have your hair hang on to that moisture for as long as possible. And then there's normal porosity hair, which is just somewhere in the middle. It's not super hard to get moisture into, but it's not super easy. And water does not leave very quickly, but it also does not stay for a long time. There are a couple different ways to test your hair's porosity. One method that is shown on the internet a lot is the cup water test. You take a glass, you fill it up with water, and you take one of your hairs and you sit it in the water to see if the hair floats or it sinks. However, the cup water test is not entirely accurate, because oftentimes with people who actually have high porosity hair, where in theory the hair would absorb the water and sink, the water actually stays fairly on the surface just because of surface tension and the fact that it's only one hair. So the cup test has been known to give inaccurate results when people know their hair's porosity and the results of the cup test don't line up. Another way to tell your hair's porosity is to think of the last time you were in a pool, or an ocean, or if you're in a body of water, and you dunk your head all the way under and you come back up, and then you touch your hair or you look at your hair. If so, you probably have high porosity hair. Your hair absorbed that water very quickly in that one dunk all the way underwater. If your hair feels still a little bit dry to touch, or you see beads of water sitting on your hair, and your hair has not fully absorbed the water from that dunk, you most likely have much lower porosity hair. Your hair is not interacting with that water long enough for it to absorb the water. Similarly, when you're in the shower and you're trying to get your hair wet, how long does it take you to get your hair all the way wet before you start applying shampoo? If you're like me, I get in the shower and I tilt my head back and I let the water run over my hair, and it's wet very quickly. I don't have to put any effort in to squeeze the water into my hair or really move my head around to get all angles of my hair. The force of the water coming down out of the shower head is enough to fully saturate my hair. If this sounds familiar to you, you likely also have high porosity hair. If you have to spend a long time getting water into your hair, like if you have one of those handheld nozzles and you have to really move it all around and back and forth and get every single angle to get your hair wet, or if you're getting your hair wet and then you get out from the water and your hair still feels fairly dry or has beads of water on it, and you have to really put effort into getting your hair wet, like you have to really take the water and squeeze it in and take a lot of time, you much likely have lower porosity hair. And if you're somewhere in the middle where neither of these feels quite right, you most likely have normal porosity hair. One misconception about different porosities is that high porosity hair is oftentimes from damage. This is not necessarily true. A hair being high porosity can come from damage, such as dyeing and bleach damage, because bleach opens up the cuticles, but not all high porosity hair is damaged. There's this misconception that low porosity hair is healthy hair, and high porosity hair is damaged hair, and you want to get all your hair to be low porosity. So if you have high porosity hair, it could be from damage. Like for me, my ends are much higher porosity than the rest of my hair because they're bleached. But the rest of my hair is also high porosity, and that's not from damage. That's just how my hair is. One helpful tip for low porosity hair when you're trying to get moisture in is heat. And by this, I don't mean like a straightening iron or a blow dryer. I don't mean that type of heat. You want to stay away from that type of heat. But I mean things like heated caps. So when you're doing a deep condition, you can put the deep conditioner in your hair, and you can put all your hair on top of your head and put a shower cap over it. And then they make these heated caps. I'll put a picture up here because I don't actually own one. But you heat them up in the microwave, and they have things in it kind of like a heating pad. It keeps heat in it, so you put it over your head and it traps the heat, and it really helps for those low porosity hairs to open up in some of the cuticles and let some of that moisture in. Alright, so that's all the info I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about hair's porosity and how knowing your hair's porosity can help you in styling and taking care of your hair. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up and drop me a comment down below telling me what you learned or what other content you'd like to see about other topics or more questions about porosity you would like answered. And I will see you in the next one.